Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's Margaret Manning here. Welcome to 60 and Me. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Good morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. We have women now in over 150 countries. And I'm just so amazed that at all hours of the day, you're reading our stories on the website, 60andme.com. We've got all kinds of cool stuff there, by the way. We've just updated the homepage. So there's a lot more content there now in different categories. So you can scroll down and look at the things that are specifically of interest to you. Then, of course, you can search for anything you like. There's so many articles that we have over the years written with the help of our bloggers, and it's really, I think, a really good place to just go with almost anything that's on your mind. And we know that a lot of you are spending the time at home during the day. Maybe you don't go out too much, and 60 and Me is kind of your home away from home. So a lot of people tell us they look forward to tuning in every day. And hi to all you regulars who know me so well, and who I've sat here and shared the story of my life with over the last few years. But I think the beauty of it all is that we're kind of in this together. You know, we all have similar stories, at least elements of the same story. And it starts in our 50s and moves on through 60s, 70s, and beyond. So I hope that you're enjoying this time here. And thanks for being so communicative and talkative and chatty with friends in our Facebook page and here on YouTube as well. So anyway, I'm drinking my cup of tea. Where is my tea? It's Earl Grey. Oh, I have a box. It's Lipton. Remember Lipton tea? It's a good old brand that's been around for a long time. But says Amazing Grey. And it's a really nice cup of tea. I love Earl Grey, and it's this particular one is very dark. Can you see? It's a strong tea. I normally think about Earl Grey as being quite a mild tea compared to English breakfast, but it's really lovely. So hope you have a tea or coffee, something you love to drink that makes you feel warm and safe and relaxed. So back to our comment about people being home alone. I think that it's true. There's various reasons, mobility issues, families moving away, not having a work environment that you have to show up at every day, and so I think a lot of our women are dealing with this whole thing of well, it's not lone. It is loneliness, but it's being alone, and that social isolation that comes with it. Now, there's been quite a few stories recently, and including a very good TED talk on this whole idea of loneliness, social isolation, being one of the contributing factors to poor health. That we live longer when we have a social network. And I'm going to work on the basis that 60 and Me is doing its bit, that we are giving you somewhere to come and be with other women. And yeah, it's not in person. I can't give you real hugs, but I give you virtual hugs. All the time, and I mean them, and so do the women in our community who join in the conversations. So anyway, I think that 60 and Me is one way to create a world of people and to not feel that social isolation. But I wanted to chat today about 5 myths about loneliness, in case people say these things to you or you say them to yourself that really I think aren't so helpful. So this is basically 5 myths about loneliness, which I consider a taboo subject. People just don't talk about it anymore. They, especially Facebook and those other social media channels, encourage us to do stuff. I'm doing this, I'm traveling here, I'm visiting this. And to say I'm home alone and actually not feel like something's wrong with you is actually a really important thing. Nothing to be ashamed of. Everyone experiences loneliness and feeling alone at some point in their life. Sometimes a little longer than others, but it's a common experience. So here's the first myth. Loneliness is the same as social isolation. It isn't quite the same, because being alone is not the same as being lonely. And you can be away from society, away from the day to day, but engage still in various other ways, but also at the same time feel lonely. It's really down to the fact that people don't want more people in their lives. They just don't want to go out and meet new people. They actually want the right people in their lives. And I think this is back to where 60andMe perhaps can help, because we are all women over 60 or over 50. And so we have something very specific and unique to offer. So that's it. We want to connect with people who share our interests, our passions, our interests, our likes. And I think that makes it different than social isolation. The second myth about loneliness is that it's a personal problem and it doesn't impact society. You know, this person's kind of a lonely person, a bit of a loner. They say this with sort of that downward tone in their voice. Oh, he's a bit of a loner. She's a, and it's just that people feel like somehow there's something wrong with it, that society doesn't want that kind of negativity in it. And it really, they've done a lot of research to show that it isn't just an individual issue, though, that people who are lonely tend to smoke, they tend to drink perhaps, their blood pressure may be higher. They may suffer from obesity because they're not moving around as much. So it may not be a direct impact on society, heavy that you might draw a direct conclusion, but it is actually important that there's several groups that have now been formed to try to help people not take those paths that are harmful to their health. So in the long run, it's better for the health system of a country, the doctors and medical people, to have people who are feeling more positive and less lonely. Not alone, but less lonely. Social isolation has an impact on the health system. In the UK, there's a couple of groups. There's one called the Campaign to End Loneliness, and also there's one called End of Lone. Age UK. That's what the one in the UK. It's called Age UK. And these are very good social groups that offer services and activities for people who live alone. Also in the UK, they just, the government, Theresa May, just gave the minister's position of the Minister of Loneliness. For loneliness. So that was a nice gesture. I mean, maybe it's not the right answer, and there's lots of other things we can do, but at least it gets us moving in the right direction. The other thing that's a myth, I think this is number 4, is that having more contacts makes you less lonely. So this is where you look at your Facebook community and think, oh, I've only got 15 people, and if I had 100 or 500, I would be happier. It's not got to do with the number of acquaintances or the number of likes that you get on a post. It has nothing to do with how you feel. It's basically having those people that really will stop and listen to you, who care about what you're going through, and I think most importantly, will ask you questions. If maybe when you were in a marriage and or a relationship where that was part of your conversation at dinner, how are you doing? What are you thinking about doing on the weekend? How's that project coming along? And then maybe that's something that's gone away, that your children have left home or you're divorced. So I think it's important that you realize loneliness is not about having more people in your life. It's about having the right people. And finally, the last myth that I think we can all agree on is that loneliness, they say that loneliness is rare amongst the 50, 60-year-old demographic. When we think about loneliness, we think about older people who perhaps can't get out. They have a mobility issue, or they just don't have the interest anymore, that they get lonely and frail and they want to stay home. That's how we envisage a lonely person, 70s or 80s or 90s, someone that's just not got the energy or the ability to get out and meet people. But the truth is, and they've done studies on this, is that, because by the way, that's how the media presents loneliness. But the truth is that the group of people that are most lonely, according to recent surveys, and I think AARP did one, show that the 50s and 60s are actually the most vulnerable group to loneliness. 50s and 60s makes perfect sense if you stop to think about it, because that is exactly when all the changes are happening in your life. Your children have left home, they're having their own families, and you're not in that circle anymore. You've lost your job, maybe by downsizing, or you've been worked out of a position. This happens all the time as you get older. Or you've retired, thinking it was going to be one thing, and it turned out not to be so much what you expected. So, and then 50s, 60s, that transition time. That's when the depression and the loneliness sets in. But the people that are, according to this survey by AARP, are the 70s. They're the least likely to feel lonely. And I don't know why that is. I'm not quite there yet, but I have a feeling it's got to do with you finally letting go, finally working it out, like understanding that attachment to things you can't have or the things that have changed is the way to move forward. And I think that's where the Buddhist religion, or Buddhist philosophy, I should say, has a lot of interesting approaches to offer. So people in the 70s, less likely to be lonely, 50s and 60s, more likely. So it's interesting. So I think that basically what I'm saying here is let's work together. Let's work together to end loneliness for women in their 50s and 60s, and anyone that's moving on, beyond that to the still feeling lonely. Let's support the groups that are helping, like Age UK and Age, what do you call it, the campaign to end loneliness. And if you've got one in your area that you'd like to tell us about, that a group that a charity or a group that works to help with loneliness in the 50-60 age group, it'd be really interesting to know. Leave it in your comments in the section below, and we'll have a chat together. And that is at the heart, I think, of what we can do at 60 and Me. We can actually offer you a place to talk. So please leave your comments. Do you agree or disagree with these 5 myths about loneliness? I'd like to get your feedback and comments on that. All right, so you have got someone here now to be virtually hugging today. If you don't go out, stay inside, but don't be lonely. If you can do something about it, let's take a stand. Do you agree with these myths? All right, everybody. Well, have a great day. Get out there and do something if you can, and know that you're respected and cared and loved and treasured here in 60andMe. We do love that you're here every day with us, and look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye-bye for now.